We would like to advise that the following program may contain adult themes, occasional nudity, and language that may offend some listeners.
Thank God it's... Thank God it's...
And welcome to Studio 222 at the ABC and Ultimate for another edition of Thank God It's Friday. I'm Richard Glover and please welcome this week's gang. It's Patrick Sunderland, Tommy Dean and Jean Kittson! Yay! And with the music, it's the star of Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat who'll be singing for us live. Welcome, and let us check first that you're up with this week's news. Who now has a cross to bear? Who now has a cross to bear?
Well, we're talking about Chris Minns and the cross bench.
Exactly.
Yay! 10 out of 10. Everyone agrees that this election was just the nicest, most polite election ever. And Mr. Minns and Mr. Perrottet, they'll be doing road trips and together in their breaks.
No,
and
you go first. You go first. No, you.
Have you tried this scone recipe? Yeah, they're so sweet together. And now Mr. Minns, of course, he needs 2 or 3 independents to get the numbers to govern. And this could be, and you know, a problem because we already remember Oakshott and Windsor.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go down any track like that. We don't want a whole lot of horse trading.
They could speak for just 3 hours, perhaps, in describing what they want to do.
Yeah, well, if he has to get crossbenchers to support him, then it's just going to be a lot of mule trading and horse trading, mule skinning it's going to go on for decades of debate. So the obvious solution, I have a solution.
Oh, good.
Because Mr. Perrottet and Mr. Minns love each other so much, I think Mr. Perrottet could lend Mr. Minns some of his coalition backbenchers to make up his numbers until the next election.
Here's Bronnie Taylor. Go on.
Bronnie,
please.
Just go over, help Mr. Minns. I mean, she'll be upset leaving her gang, but she'll be in government. She'll be happy. Yeah. This will mean fewer angry name-calling debates and no dodgy deals.
But then we won't be able to call them the crossbenchers if they're not angry.
Boom tish.
Patrick, because on the night it looked like he was going to be in majority.
Yeah, it was a complete surprise. It absolutely changed complete fortunes, not pointing any fingers, Anthony Green. But I have to say that if I was in the position of one of these crossbenchers, I think you don't have to ask for political concessions. We don't have to make this a politics thing. Just ask for other favours. We know Chris Minns is good at playing guitar. Ask him to serenade you when you walk into the state parliament, something like that. Get a bit more creative with your requests. Get Labor backbenchers to deliver you martinis when you're on the, just things like that. Why not? And then you just say, fine, I'll vote for whatever you want.
Just do the hard bargaining. What do you reckon, Tommy?
Well, you know that I follow state politics with such careful
dedication.
Scrutiny.
Dedication.
Careful scrutiny. I mean, that's why I sound a bit weary right now because it's just I can't sleep until it's decided. And,
Goulburn alone has kept you awake.
That's the one that keeps me up the most because if they move that sheep again, I just don't know if I can support that. It used to be where it was, and then it moved, and it just took.
They moved the sheep?
They moved the sheep.
The big marina.
With the gift ball in its big...
Well, the shop didn't move. The shop is still up its bum. But the side of the whole thing moved.
Well, it wasn't the fact that the sheep moved that frightened me. It was just the size of the sheep dogs I had to bring in. It was just... I thought all of Goulburn was going to be trampled. So
and that ute...
Oh, crazy. It was so crazy. I don't know exactly how it works, but I feel like this is, if there was a place for the gift card economy, Chris Minns is now, just load them up.
Yeah.
You want a Telstra card? You want a Netflix card?
Yeah.
You want $100 at Westfield?
Come over here, Greenies.
Yeah. Just that's why you should just mail them. Just don't even lead with legislation that might upset them. Just right now.
Get on the front foot.
Get
when
on
it comes
the front
to bribery.
foot. Send them heaps of gift cards. Know their kids' birthdays. A couple of phones.
Yeah. Isn't this what we call what we technically call bribery? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be so.
By the strictest definition, sure.
Yeah, that's only if they spend it. Then it's on them. It's on them for cashing in. How dare they cash in on their political power?
Well, they can cash in on it, but as long as they don't change the way they were going to vote, then it's still not bribery.
Yeah.
That's just them getting money for nothing.
That's right. And then, I'm just saying, if he gets up for early, then everybody's happy. Well, I was always going to vote for that, Chris.
Yeah,
because it was an excellent idea.
We got to keep the positive vibes of this election going. Like you were saying, it's been the most cuddliest one.
That's right.
I was
don't think
really
we
kind of hoping
mind.
that on the night they both gave a concession speech at the same time.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
An idea. All right, there's only been one vote cast, but I'm pretty sure it was for Dom.
Yeah,
You're
but
just
really
so
should have been for him.
I voted for him.
Patrick Sunderland, Tommy Dean and Jean Kittson are here. Now, who has a roof on their ambitions to give people a roof?
Well, if there's one thing that I follow even closer than state politics, it's national politics. And there's nothing like when the federal government gets itself involved in solving the world's problems that they probably caused. So what we have here is Mr. Albanese. Definitely has a great plan.
Tommy was just showing off at that point that he knew the name of the Prime Minister.
Well, you know what's
He looked
helpful?
at his notes, though.
No,
Did
no,
you
it was for
realise
the
that?
next number. The number 30,000 homes is what I had to look up.
Right, okay.
Now, Anthony Albanese, me go way back. It's really very helpful if you are the Prime Minister of this country, if you live in the same suburb as I do, and shop at the same Woolies.
Oh, so you've seen him out and about.
Yeah.
You know what he buys.
Yeah, we've had many a chat over the price of broccoli while standing at the broccoli stand.
So
It couldn't be
his
more
whole
personal.
because he showed some, you talked today about the price of living crisis. He basically owes his insights to you, does he?
Well, I mean, if he's talking about broccoli. Like, he was kind of, he has a way about him that's like, he feels like he's paying attention to you and he wants to talk to you. But I'm like, broccoli's really expensive right now. He's like, yes, Tommy, it's very expensive. The problem is the drought and we have this climate trouble. And I'm like, what about the celery? You get one vegetable. You get to discuss one vegetable with me. There's too many people. Okay, next time we'll talk about the carrots.
But you've told me about your broccoli policy. Your broccoli policy is appalling. Your broccoli policy is if it's too expensive, you just break off the stalk bit and leave it behind.
Yeah, it's called, I don't know, it's called user pays.
It's called thievery.
called-
No, it's user pays.
Wasting the stalk.
It's not wasting
You
the
just
stock. There are
skin
many
the
people
stalk.
that use the stock, and I'm making more stock available. Imagine how many stock lovers of broccoli are so pissed off at how much flour is at the top. Yeah. I'm creating extra demand for stock.
It's so important when it comes to broccoli that we don't let perfect be the enemy of good, which, of course, to subtly bring it back to the...
Suddenly bring it back to the topic.
Speaking of
done,
greens,
Kat. Yeah. Oh, greens.
That's what I was
Yes.
doing. I was already being subtle.
Yeah, which I have to say, I do love that is the stock line that Labor has when it comes to the Greens policy, that they always let perfect be the enemy of good. I would think that the first step in negotiations, political negotiations, is not to describe the opposing party's policy as perfect. I think that is a slip-up. I think that is something you do not want to acknowledge.
Okay, but the actual story, ladies and gentlemen, is that, Jean?
The Albanese government wants to build 30,000 houses for the 650,000 people the government wants to deliver to the two biggest cities. And the maths is a bit challenging, I have to say, and reminds me of a quote from Churchill, of course, the Churchill touch, when the government was arguing over battleships. Churchill said the Admiralty demanded 6 ships, the economists offered 4, and we finally compromised on 8. So the Greens said 30,000 isn't enough, so they want to block it. I should have said
So
that
they want
first.
to vote it down and
They
say...
want to vote it down, but, so maybe they'll compromise on, 60,000. Like, I don't know. But I suppose a compromise really would be to build enough housing for everyone who's already here and then think about it later. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you would have to be good at sitting on each other's laps. You're going to have 600,000 people in 30,000
in 30,000 homes, yeah. They're the new people. That's not even taking into consideration the people who haven't got the houses. And the new people are here because of the economists. And the real question is, are economists growing at a faster rate than the rest of the population? And if they are, do we need lots more people to pay for them?
There is an epidemic. There is a plague. I just can't believe the absolute hypocrisy of the Greens. This is an inner West party, they love share houses. And you're telling me that they don't want to stuff people in 15-person a house
Exactly.
homes.
That's
I
where all
can't
the
believe
Greens
it.
posters are. So
Housing.
And
Why
don't
not
forget
give it
the great Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a broccoli stalk in every pot.
That's,
That's what they should promise.
No flowers, no
campaign
flowers.
slogan for Tommy Dean for the next election. Now, who went off-piste when it comes to public opinion?
Oh, well, I know exactly what this story is about after just quickly Googling the phrase off-piste, because I am...
Isn't it a great term, though?
It is a great term.
Off-piste.
It is
Great term.
fantastic. But this is, of course, the trial of the century. This is actress Gwyneth Paltrow has been embroiled in this legal dispute from years ago where she... both parties allege that they ran into each other on a ski slope. This guy is saying that Gwyneth Paltrow skied into her. She's saying he skied into her. And it's just this massive thing, which has been resolved this morning. Gwyneth Paltrow was fighting over who is at fault. And as of this morning, Gwyneth Paltrow has succeeded in the case. She's won her legal costs plus one symbolic US
One
dollar.
solid. So the jury agrees, really, that there's no proof that she whacked into him.
Well, yeah, the thing is that she seemed unscathed, but you have to know that she's brimming with goop products that make her absolutely indestructible. So what the jury had to understand was that she was completely bowled over, but just through the power of goop survived.
Yeah.
Or is it the other way around? My feeling was that she was actually guilty.
Oh.
She crushed into him, but as they entangled themselves and rolled down the hill, she gooped him up.
Oh, she gooped him. She had some pocket goop ready to
Just ready to
apply.
go. Well, I think she always has it oozing out of her.
Because a lot of her lawyer's evidence was this guy's injuries weren't as bad as he said, and your theory fits right into that.
Yeah.
Yes, he was terribly injured, but there was a curative process in the process of the collision.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just seeing Gwyneth Paltrow makes everything a little bit better.
Yeah.
Imagine what it would be like to just be smashed into her on skis.
And
I
also,
already feel better just thinking about it.
If you got merely a sort of quarter of a tube of gloop product on you, that would be worth the $300,000 he was claiming.
Worth it.
Oh, absolutely. And then
But
some.
now he has to pay $4.8 million in
legal
her
costs.
lawyer costs.
Well, we don't know that yet, I don't
Do
think.
we?
No.
Well,
that has
there's-
yet to be determined.
Oh,
amount
whether
of legal-
he'll get all those costs or not.
But it's
I mean,
also,
it
I
would
think-
be.
oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
go.
No, you're right.
No, go. No, go,
I
go.
just think it's a curious indictment of the American justice system. It seemed like a case that didn't need 7 years to sort out. Like, it feels like...
Oh, I don't know. They were doing reconstructions of accident pathways and
Well, yeah.
physics simulations. It was quite over the top.
And everyone was learning the rules of skiing, right? I've never been
exactly,
skiing,
yeah.
but
He's
apparently
a-
if you're downhill of someone, you have the right of way.
Oh, yeah, well, then that's obvious because they're in front of you.
Yeah.
If you're uphill, you can't see them.
I don't think it was quite fair because in a trial of with the jury and everything, the jury are going to want to side with the famous popular actress. I reckon this guy, Terry Sanderson, I think his name is, he should be allowed to nominate a celebrity stand-in, like in Game of Thrones when they have a champion in a trial by combat. You know, he should just be able to summon Brad Pitt to represent him. I think that's the only way to make it
But I
fair.
think the part that was unfair is that during the entire trial, she burned a candle called colonic innocence.
I think his decision to get Johnny Depp as his stand-in, though, maybe is the problem.
Backfired, completely backfired. But it was very big on TikTok, so that's something.
Well, there's very few people that support him, even though Gwyneth is probably one of the most sort of, like ridiculed people
Divisive,
around.
yeah.
Divisive? Well, she's got a goop, which sounds like something you put on your axle, actually. Goop. She's got a goop empire, so there's people supporting her. And I actually looked up goop, and look, those products, they're written so well, I wanted to buy some. There was a dark spot sleep milk, and then and I'm going, no wonder she's got an empire.
So
But
just like that retired bloke, you're down $300,000.
Yeah, I'm down. Just researching. But is an accident with an optometrist a sight gag? No.
So must be.
It's Friday with Richard Glover.
We have Patrick Sunderland, Tommy Dean, and Jean Kittson. Now,
Hey, before we...
Tommy.
I've waited a long time to ask this question. I
Yep.
probably could have looked it up in the off time, but I find it's best to appeal to you, your knowledge, and if not that of the listener.
Yeah.
For years, the weatherman has often referred to weather happening north of the Illawarra.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, that's the conurbation. Remember in school, do you remember in that moment in primary school? It was year 5, if I remember it. They brought in the concept of conurbation. Now, to us Australians at the time, I mean, I was in year 5 a long time ago. We didn't have conurbations. It was one of the things that made us be so envious about Americans because they just talked endlessly about New York and Washington and the conurbation between the two. And we thought, we don't have a conurbation. Why can't we have a conurbation? And so for all the rest of the year, people think Sydney's spreading into good rural land just by chance. No. It's because people want to be able to finally use that knowledge they gained in 5th year primary school and say, as they drive down towards Wollongong, look at that conurbation, darling. When they're stuck in traffic in Dapto.
I have never heard that word before.
Yes, I am.
When they say when they're
completely
stuck in traffic in Dapto and their partner says, isn't this terrible being stuck in traffic? They say, well, that's what you get from living in a conurbation.
A conurbation. Like, well... That's where the Illawarra is, in the conurbation.
Oh, I see. North of the Illawarra is north of the conurbation.
Well,
Into the conurbation.
It's the gap between Sydney and Illawarra. It's the gap between Sydney and the Illawarra.
What's
Which
the
is
Illawarra?
south.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're working from that level.
Yeah. I think I was quite clear with my
I
question.
almost don't want to say now.
It's the area built around the Shoalhaven River.